Hi, I'm Lucy and welcome to Beautifully Unfinished. This is the podcast for those of us navigating midlife, embracing the twists, the turns, and discovering that perhaps we're not lost at all, that we're just simply unfinished. If you've ever felt stuck, uncertain, perhaps restless, or wondered if there's anything more in life than the routine that you've been living with, then this episode's for you. Today, I want to talk about purpose. That feeling that there should be something more, that whisper that arrives when life goes quiet for a moment and asks, is this it? Am I really living the life that I was meant to live? Or have I become so busy surviving that I've forgotten how to dream? If you've ever felt stuck, restless, uncertain, or found yourself wondering what comes next, remain at this episode. This one is for you. You see, when we reach midlife, many of us find ourselves standing at a crossroads. For years we've been busy, raising children perhaps, building careers, busy paying lots of bills, perhaps caring for parents, being everything to everyone. And somewhere along the way we stop to ask ourselves the big question: who am I now? What lights me up? What makes me feel alive? What is my purpose? Then one day we wake up and something feels different. The routine that was once comfortable now feels a bit boring and restrictive. The familiar feels stale. And that life that once made perfect sense didn't quite fit the same way anymore. And here's what I've come to believe. That feeling, it isn't a crisis. It's simply an invitation. It's life gently nudging you towards transformation, because when there's no longer comfort in the comfort zone, something new is trying to emerge. You do know that, right? I think getting older has a way of telling you that. As the years pass, we see friends, we see family members, colleagues and loved ones, special people leave this world. And each time it happens so quickly, and we ask ourselves a question: are you truly living? Are we simply existing? Did they find their purpose? Have I found mine? For years, my way of dealing with life was just to stay busy. And I mean very busy. If I kept moving, I didn't have to think. If I kept working, I didn't have to feel. If I filled every moment of every day, there was just no room to sit around and let the things that hurt me. Busy became my escape plan. The trouble with that is it's not very healthy. It certainly is not sustainable, especially when you fall into bed exhausted at the end of the night and realize you really haven't been present in your own life. I guess that's perhaps the notorious saying of midlife crisis. That's where I'm at, perhaps. We become experts at survival, and at the same time we become strangers to ourselves. I'm still learning this lesson, but I think I'm done with surviving. I want to live. I want to notice the small moments. I want to enjoy this glorious, beautiful, messy life. Because my goodness, life can be tough, exhausting, can break your heart. But my goodness, it is sure worth it. One of the most important things I've come to realize is that life is simply a collection of seasons. The mistakes we often make is believing we're supposed to stay in one season forever. We're not. Just as nature changes, so do we. When I look back, I can clearly see them. I can see the seasons of raising children. I can see the season of building a career, of perhaps being a wife. I can see the season of being a grandmother. And if I'm honest, I never expected there to be a season of starting over in my 50s. That came as a bit of a sideswipe. That certainly wasn't part of my big plan. But life has a way of writing chapters we never expect to read. And sometimes those chapters end up teaching us the most important things about ourselves. One of the greatest surprises of the season has been realizing the importance of having people in your corner. Having a partner or friend or sibling, someone who genuinely believes in you. For me, that's been one of the most unexpected blessings of this chapter of my life. To have someone who sees possibilities in me, even if I don't see them in myself. Because let's be honest, reinventing oneself sounds pretty exciting and even sexy in theory, but in reality, it's bloody terrifying. Because if I'm completely honest, there are still days when my confidence wobbles. There are days when my self-doubt shows up. There are still days when imposter syndrome sits down completely uninvited and tells me I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing, and I'm completely unqualified for the dreams and the hopes that I'm considering. I've learned that sometimes the people around us become the bridge between where we are and where we're meant to go. Not because they carry us, not because they rescue us, but because they remind us of who we are when we've forgotten. Sometimes all it takes is one person saying, I believe in you. You got this. One person encouraging us to take the next step. One person reminding us that our age is not the limitation, but an advantage. One person helping us see that our strengths when we're focused entirely on our weaknesses. Purpose is deeply personal, but the journey towards it doesn't always have to be lonely. When you find someone whose values align with yours and whose dreams complement your own and who genuinely wants to see you flourish, the journey becomes so much richer. The road doesn't necessarily become easier, but it does become infinitely more meaningful. Because confidence isn't the absence of fear. Often confidence grows because someone believed in us long enough for us to start believing in ourselves again. Now, before you panic, I'm not suggesting you go sell your house, move to Bali, start a yogurt retreat. Although, if that's your thing, who am I to stop you? What I am saying, however, is sometimes growth begins with curiosity. Sometimes it starts with the imagination. Just a little while ago, I was walking through the garden with my little granddaughter, McKenna. She's 5. She had a magnifying glass in one hand and a pair of binos in the other. As we wandered through this beautiful garden, she suddenly stopped and said, Granny, look at the elephant over there, and look at it, it's got a cute baby. A few minutes later, she was pointing out a giraffe, and then there was buffalo, and of course, there were no elephants, giraffes, or buffalo, but her imagination was magical. She wasn't walking through a garden, she was on a safari adventure, a world filled with possibilities. And as I watched her, I couldn't help but wonder that somewhere in between childhood and adulthood, many of us lose the ability to imagine, and even the ability imagining of dreaming again. When did we stop believing that something exciting was just around the corner? When did we stop imagining things? When did we stop dreaming, stop exploring possibilities? These days, we tend to consume other people's stories. I think we're all a bit guilty of this. We scroll on Instagram, we watch Facebook Reels, we admire carefully curated, perfect little lives. We become spectators rather than creators. We borrow inspiration from everyone else's adventures while forgetting to have our own. Or perhaps our imagination only comes alive when an old song starts to play. Come on, we all know an 80s song, right? A song that instantly transports you back to that version of yourself you barely remember. The younger version, the funner version, the freer version, the version with dreams. And perhaps that's worth paying attention to, because purpose often leaves clues. It shows up in things that move us, things we just can't stop thinking about, things that make our eyes well up and cry. And for me, one of those clues has been this podcast. If I'm honest, Beautifully Unfinished has become far more than a podcast to me. It's become a place of reflection, a place of growth, and dare I say it, a place of healing. Each week I sit down, often without a fixed plan, yet I find myself drawn to the same sort of conversations. Reinvention, grief, relationships, purpose, starting over. And I've come to realize that none of it has been an accident. For years, I've talked about starting a podcast. For years, I did nothing about it. Why? Because I was terrified. The self-doubt was loud. That imposter syndrome, even louder. Who am I to have a podcast? What have I got to offer? Who would even want to listen to me? These thoughts played in my head on repeat till one day I asked myself a different question. What if I don't do it? What if in 10 years I look back and I'm still wondering what might have happened if I'd been brave enough to just try? So here I am, the woman who can spend like 20 minutes looking for a phone number on a phone. Now I sit behind a microphone, navigate a webcam, an interface. Yes, I had to look up that word too. And all these things I never thought I'd learn. And do you know what? If this podcast has helped just one person feel less alone, that would be enough for me. What I didn't expect is how much it would actually help me, how much it would heal me, and how much it would teach me. One thing I know for certain is that I am definitely a work in progress. I still have days when the old demons show up. Learning to trust again has been massive. Believing in myself has been huge. Believing my purpose is still relevant has been huge. Showing up each week has been a commitment, sometimes a wrestle, but I'm doing it. When the divorce papers came through last year and they were signed and the ink had finally dried, I remember feeling a mixture of fear, relief, panic, sadness and hope. I was terrified, I was alone, I questioned everything. But what I didn't realize at the time was that one chapter had closed, so that would allow another chapter to begin. About a year ago, I made a decision, maybe unconsciously, but I made it nonetheless, to stop chasing approval, to stop seeking validation, to start rediscovering myself and to start dreaming again, to find those butterflies in my stomach again, to trust again, to be vulnerable again, to love again, to believe that life could still hold adventure. And maybe even a few childhood fantasies, a bit more adventure in the sense of the occasional unicorn, a few rainbows, and if I was really, really lucky, the handsome prince who rides and slays the dragon and sweeps me off my feet. Although at my age he'll probably arrive in a Toyota with a good bottle of red wine and a little dog on his knee. And honestly, that's perfect. If you're feeling stuck right now, don't assume you failed. Don't assume you're too old. Don't assume you've missed your purpose. Maybe this isn't the end of your story. Maybe it's just the beginning of a brand new chapter. Maybe this season is to dream again, to imagine again, to believe again. Because you're not behind. You're not too old. You're not lost. You're simply growing. You are becoming. You're beautifully unfinished. Thank you for spending the time with me today. If something spoke to you in this episode, I'd love to hear from you. But meanwhile, please like, follow and subscribe. And if you know someone who might need to hear this, please share it with them. And until next week, be kind to yourself. Keep dreaming, keep growing, and keep trusting that your story is still being written. And remember that the best chapters may be just ahead of you. See you next week. You take care and have a beautiful week.